Hello everybody, and for the last time, welcome to the Simufur GT4 Season 3 Championship. The battle may already be over in the overall category, but there's still everything to play for in the AM and in the silver classes here. We have 7 different drivers, all competing for that ultimate title in their respective classes. We have Cohen, we have Zezors, we have Slowdog, we have Newt, we have Vossi, we have F-Spirit, we have Oras. So many different drivers, all just vying to get that final few points. It's very close fighting in all of the classes here, in silver, in AM, and while the overall fight may already be over here, there's still so many points to still be claimed in those P2 and P3 positions here. So this is going to be one very exciting race to be had here. We have 2 more minutes left on this very cold, very dark circuit of the Americas race here. That's also going to be hosting the Formula 1 race this weekend. So as soon as you're done with the GT4 racing here on Simufur, be sure to tune in to see what's going to be happening in the live Formula 1 racing. But for now, what we are going to be focusing on is these people. These silver drivers are going to be Oras Volpez, Newt, and Vossi. They are the main 3 contenders in the Silver Championship. They only have 3 points separating them going into this final round here, so it's just going to be an incredibly close fight. Whoever is the one to win this race, that's going to be the one crowned champion in this category here, but it's very exciting stuff. But I also want to be giving a big shout out to Azurcoat, who was able to just dominate throughout this entire season here, winning almost every single race, just being there, getting everything done here that he needs to be able to clinch that championship with 1 more round to go. Now over here, he's currently being crowned champion. He has nothing to lose anymore at this point. We're still going to be seeing very, very excellent driving from this this GOAT and Luna Enthusiast car from over here, as we're going to be getting ready for the final round of the race here. We also have, again, a very, very close fight in our AM class category. We have 3 different drivers, actually 4 different drivers. It's going to be Snowy, able to get that, not quite able to get the result that he would have won in the last round, but they are still within the lead of the AM class championship here, and he's going to be the one to hopefully get the best result he wants to get that title and finally be crowned champion in AM class. He's been at this for quite a few years already, so this would be quite a wonderful surprise one. We also have other newcomers coming into this championship here in the AM classes. We have the car of Zezors, also one who also had not quite the best race that I would have maybe wished for in Paul Ricard last round, but still within a mathematical reach of winning the title here. Also very eager to claim the title. But we also have this very interesting, very newcomer Juan V, who also is currently the pitcher alongside his other main rival that I was also going to be mentioning, Kuhn, who are both still in a very good shot of the race. And this is going to be their absolute first time they have been doing any racing for Simufur. And imagine that. First time you race in Simufur, it's going to be your first title. This would be incredible stuff for all of our drivers here. So very, very exciting stuff to watch here, as we're going to be waiting another 20 seconds before the end of our practice session here. So we're still waiting for my co-commentator to hopefully hop on here. It's going to be Plasma Raider again providing us commentary with me for the final round here. But for now, we're going to be hearing my voice here so far. And yeah, I just can't begin to describe just how exciting this is going to be. It's been just very close fighting from all of our competitors all throughout the season. They've been just swapping position back and forth, left and right, up and down, side to side, just trading places, getting P1, P2, P3. There's not been ever a single solid championship leader in this race here, in this championship, besides going to be the Azurcoat in the leading class here. So it's something I'm going to be really excited to do here. And while we're going to be waiting here for our competitors to get ready for the qualifying session here, I want to have a bit of a quick recap on what the point situation is looking like so far going into this final round of the Simufur GT4 Championship. Starting off from the top, we obviously have Azurcoat able to just dominate throughout the entire race here, able to secure that title with quite a few points to spare with his main rival out of the race here before the end of the last race here. But there's still going to be lots of good fighting here, especially down in the 4th and 5th position, in the 6th position here, with all of these silver drivers all just desperately trying to get that final 3rd slot in this overall category as well here. And we also have the similar kind of fight opening also happening down here in the AM class as well here, with all of these drivers also hoping to just get those final couple points they need to get into the top 10. But once we move on over to the silver class, this is where it gets interesting. You can see Newt was able to secure a very good podium finish last time, able to jump ahead of his 2 main rivals, Vossi and Oras Volpez, to get that leading position in this championship here. And that's gonna be all to play for between these competitors. So only a win is needed from anybody, for any of these drivers to be able to get that championship win. And that's going to be a similar result as well here in this AMCAS category as well, with Cohen's very, very solid win in Paul Ricard as well, also able to secure themselves a win and able to get the lead of the championship here, with Snowy unfortunately retiring and Zizo suffering quite a few penalties as well that dropped them down into the standings here. But it's still a possibility for all 4 of our competitors here to get that win at the end here, and it's going to be quite some exciting stuff indeed here. Now, I do see our competitors are now finally out on the track here, so let me have a bit of a look-see to see who's going to be out at the front of the track. That is indeed going to be the car number 765 of Azure Code. So quite a familiar sight here at the front of the grid here. So let's hop on over to their view to see what they're going to be doing here. So looking so far, COTA, it's going to be a very, very tricky track. Lots of tight corners here. The track limits are going to be the most brutal of all of the tracks so far here. They are unforgiving, and all of the drivers so far in the practice session has been complaining about the unforgivingness of these track penalties here. We have said many times before that track limits would be causing some issues to our drivers, and that never has really manifested, but this could be the last one. This could be the track where track limits is going to be an issue. As you can see, like, if you just get even a tiny bit over those white lines on the track here, that's going to be your lap time invalidated, a potential warning given to you, and if you do that too many times, that's even going to be a drive-through penalty as well. So our competitors here, they have to really be at the top of their game here to hopefully get the times they want. They stay on the contention for this race here. It's going to be quite exciting. Also, there's going to be quite a mixed track as well. We have this really long stretch in Sector 2 where the power-focused cars of the McLaren, the Maserati, the Porsche, and the Aston able to just unleash the powers of their monstrous engines. And then we have the Sector 1 and Sector 3 areas here. You can see as Azure Code is going through the Sector 3 corner complex as well. It's going to be very technical, very tight. That's going to be giving an advantage to the more agile cars of the KTMs, of the Ginettas as well. So it's going to be a very mixed track. It's not going to be fully certain who's going to be the one to finally get the pole position here, but we're going to be watching that very, very closely as we're getting ready for Azure to finish his outlap and get ready for a hot lap around our qualifying. This is indeed going to be a merge qualifying this time, so there's not going to be any splits this time, so there's all going to be to play for us. So now we're going to be hopping on board for Azure's point of view. So starting off in turn 1, you got very tight last corner to just unleash all that power. It's important to get a good exit here on this really long uphill straight heading towards turn 1 here, as you're still trying to maybe heat up his tires a little bit here, going up into the uphill section towards turn 1, just bringing down hard, just trying to find that absolutely perfect apex, just swing around here, and then unleash that power again, going down into the second here, going down. It's going to be the very twisty section of turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, just left, right, just hope to find the absolutely perfect line going through here. Left, right, left again, swing around, just balancing that car, just able to find the absolute best line to just swing around here, and then again, another deep swing towards the right corner here, down towards into turn 5. Another short burst of up here, heading towards turn 7, up into this very complicated, really easy to go over the track and here, going up towards turn 8 and down towards this back section into this part of the map here. Now going down the hill, it's going to be another big acceleration, so it's going to be another tight hairpin turn going towards this turn 11 area. Now it's going to be the second biggest straight of this entire track. It's going to be just unleashing the McLaren's power here with Azure. All those horsepower, so the best accelerating car and best top speed car of the entire field here is going to be just climbing with the gears, trying to find that spot somewhere on this very dark track to find where he's supposed to be back here towards turn 2. It's going to be spotting him. Right, again, another tight hairpin corner towards the very tricky Sector 3 area here towards these very tight twisted bits here. And I'm going to be swinging around wide to the left to get the best possible exit going through to turn 13, then immediately turn 14. Got the apex steep here to just floor right away towards the 50, and just again another tight hairpin towards the quite a very tricky section going towards turn 16 and 17 and 18 all at once. It's going to be one very long corner. Just trying to balance that car. I'm trying not to understeer too much. Seems like Azure's been able to get that quite well so far. And that's going to be the final couple corners here. Swinging wide, just cutting it again here. Just carrying as much speed as possible. This final corner here, still holding on nice and strong here. Going to be the final tight corner towards turn 16. It's going to be now across the line. The very, very strong first lap. That's going to be a 2:17.5. Very well done from our championship leading, championship winning driver here so far. But looking so far, we also have other people actually able to pip Azure Gold right at the start. It's going to be actually Wushul able to beat Azure by a whopping 0.3 of a second. Now able to get a 217.2, and when we had the practice session, that's also what we saw Azure Auras Volpes able to get the leading time in that session towards for something like a 216.5. So there's definitely a lot more pace left in the pockets of these drivers here. And I'm going to be very, very excited for sure to see what they're going to be able to get with these cars extracted in these 25 minutes of racing. And looking so far, we also have quite some interesting stuff happening here in the AM class as well. We currently have Z-Source able to get the initial pole position, a provisional pole position here for this first lap around here. But these cars are still not quite up to optimal temperature. They still need maybe a lap, 2 laps to get their tires into optimum temperature, as we now finally have my co-commentator Plasma able to join us at the start of the qualifying.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm just in time to see everyone start to hit those fast laps. The cold tires are out of the way, and we're around for the latest tour of the never-ending COTA circuit in the M2. Well, not the M2s, actually. That championship's long been concluded, but in the GT4s, as I'm getting a little distracted by that M4 GT4 running down to the Turn 11.
Indeed, and while the overall class fight may be over, there's still all to play for in the silver and AM class categories. We have 7 different drivers all still trying to fight for their own championship titles in the AM and silver classes, so it's going to be some very close fighting here. And from what I've been looking at the points so far, it's basically from the fights, whoever can win this race, they are going to be crowned champion. It's going to be not quite the case for Zizors, who had quite an unfortunate race last time in Paul Ricard, had some penalties that cost them a lot of points, so it's going to be a bit of a taller ask. But for our leading drivers, perhaps for Vossi, for Auras Volpes, and for Mute, all they need right now is to win this race, and that's going to be the championship title secure for them.
Yeah, we saw quite a dramatic race for Port Zizors, and quite a few incidents as well that they were caught up in. Unfortunately, the stewards determining that those were all majority to blame on Zizors, and they picked up, I believe it was 7 DWP from the event alone, which is quite a significant points drop in what it dropped into the tail of the EM field. And that's put them on the back foot for this event. Not to say that they're not in contention here, but they're going to need to really put in a spectacular event and have a little bit of luck, as one of their main rivals, Wanvi, is sitting right there in P2, but actually just got bumped down by Cohen. So we're looking at maybe a bit of a spicy AM battle starting to formulate.
Absolutely, indeed, and I do want to be giving a bit of a highlight for Cohen as well, where he might not be the most spectacular driver, I have to say, but he's been the one that's been the most consistent. We have had lots of incidents from all of our other competitors in the AM fight, from Z-Source, from Snowy, and from 1B, but Cohen's just been the one to just drive steady, bring the car home, and racking those points, racking those quotas, and that's why he's currently in the lead of the AM Clash Championship. So we're probably going to be seeing some similar, very calm, very steady driving from this very racing texture car.
Yeah, the car that none of us can see. I'm looking forward to this event because it is going to be a true test of what drivers can hold the car on the limit with as many different factors as possible. COTA throwing the car around to the right, to the left, uphill and downhill. I mean, everywhere you go, the car does not have the same balance as it would have in the previous corner. So it is a very, very big challenge for many of our drivers. Turn 11 here, which seems like it would be a very, very easy braking zone. Actually, probably one of the trickiest corners on the track, because you really want to maximize exit speed. But there's a lot of time to be gained on entry, and with it being so wide, it doesn't really feel like there's an optimal line until you get on that straightaway and find out whether or not you've actually gotten that good exit that you're trying to aim for.
Yes, it's actually going to be a very tough ask for all of our drivers here. And while we have at previous races talked about the possibility of track limits being an issue, and that has not manifested, but I feel like this is going to be the one where it's going to be giving some issues, because track limits in COTA, they are the most brutal. They are the most unforgiving, and even a tiny bit off the line here, that's going to be your lap time validated, a potential warning for yourself here. So we might finally see those drive-through penalties happening here, but we're going to have to see what our competitors are going to be doing, and we're also going to be seeing quite some improvements from our drivers so far. We have actually Auras Volpes in a 1.5 second improvement going towards the final couple turns here. It's going to be quite a big jump as we see them going around turn 19 towards turn 20. See what they're going to be able to get done here. Let's see. Get that nice and tight corner around here. It's going to be now across the line, that's going to be up into P2. Right behind Wushel here, who's actually been on quite a dominant streak so far. Wushel is now sitting 261 compared to the 272 of Aura's Wolf. So quite a surprising run from our Porsche driver here.
Surprising run from our Porsche driver, but I'd say almost a even more surprising upset is the fact that Azure is currently sitting 1.4 seconds off the pace. Not a gap that we normally expect from the McLaren driver, and certainly a shock for me in the initial kind of reactions.
Yes, indeed. And looking down into our AM class fight, we have one be able to claim the provisional pole position here. There's quite a tight fight between them and Zizers at the moment. They're only separated by about 0.4 of a second here. So on this very long and very tricky COTA track here, that could be easily gained or lost, especially over a race distance here. So we're going to be watching them very closely. And looking down, we actually still have not gotten a valid lap time from our runner-up in the AM class fight so far of Snowdog, who still is not able to get any so far. So it could be he's again struggling with those track limits a little bit in COTA. He has normally said that he's quite happy, quite comfortable with the limits of this track here, but hopefully they can get at least one lap on the board here and get back into that fight for the AM class.
Yeah, Snowy needs that. It's certainly not going to look good if they're sitting on the lower end of that AM class fight, especially being in with an outside chance. They still aren't one of the favorites right now, although they've had the season that should demand them to be the favorite. But it's not been the best one so far for Slow Dog. And currently, I believe their lap is also sitting invalid right now, so it will be another tour around for the 919. Of course, we'll be coming out of this final corner here, so that first attempt is going to be coming out around about now as we see F-Spirit coming around the corner, who has been flying through the circuit, currently 2.5 seconds up on their time, and it is a big jump for F-Spirit, all the way up into 6th place, dropping in a 2:18.087, but still holding just under 2 seconds adrift from Wushel up in P1.
Yes, indeed. Wushel's been able to gain a lot more pace out of that Porsche 718 than anybody else has so far, and quite impressive run for them. But also, speaking of F-Spirit and the other contenders in the silver class fight here of Blade Wolf and F-Spirit, while they may not be no longer in contention for the silver class title, wherever they finish, that's going to be giving more opportunities for the main three contenders, Newt, Vossi, and Oras, to just pip each other, take points off each other, and help them secure that silver class, fight between them. So if F-Spirit or Blade Wolf may be able to get those pole positions, get a provisional pole, or just get up into the pointer end of the silver class fight, that might be working really well, depending on who's going to be able to capitalize on that.
Yes, yeah, of course, and just because everyone knows that Mr. Sandbag over here, my co-commentator, stuck himself in AM and went all the way up to pro, doesn't mean that everyone else is. But the field spread is quite what we would expect. The real only outlier being Saber Kitsune sitting down in P7 right now, but the KTM likely struggling on this track with the straight lines. We know that car is typically struggling with power, just as a main characteristic of that lower power engine. And there's a lot of long straights on COTA and a lot of sections where you really are just accelerating up over and over again, and really need to get that exit. No matter what you do in the corner, you are going to lose quite a bit of time. As we roll through the Mickey Mouse sequence, the start of sector 3 through turns 15, and now heading up to the triple right, 16, blink and you miss it, and straight through 17, through the final long right of 18, and then you tip the car and try to pull it back, get it set up for the early entry in 19. A little bit late from Snowdog, maybe a little bit of understeer, but able to get the car to meet the apex, meet the curb, and then hard on the brakes down the final turn, turn 20 again, very early on, very early power on, get the car rotated. Looks like Snowdog doing exactly that, and the drive to the line will result in an improvement. Only 0.2 though, as they said, has a 220.4, and still sitting a decent bit away, about a second adrift from AM pole position, and that might not be very confidence inspiring for our 919 Aston.
absolutely none indeed. And looking at the points so far, if these competitors would be finishing where they are qualified at the moment, this would indeed swing the championship fight into 1V's favor and maybe just able to eke in a win out of here. But it's really quite a tall order, because especially because we don't have that many AM drivers currently in the field here. Like this, even if you have a very terrible race here from our competitor, from leading drivers here, they're still going to be able to rack in quite a decent amount of points here. Their absolute worst result would be a P5 of that would be 16 points as well. So it will be have to be a very lucky race in parts for 1V to be able to clinch that AM class title here. But every little bit helps, and with 1V currently sitting on quite a decent margin to the second driver in the AM class, it could be quite a good run from the second Porsche driver of our class here.
Yeah, no, definitely be interesting to keep an eye on the 911. Of course, again, we know the AM Champ battle is very tight. All of our drivers really kind of sitting in contention for that AM Championship. But jumping up and as our overall championship leader and winner at this point being sealed in the previous round out at Paul Ricard with 4 wins already to their name, it is going to be Azure with a 765 rolling through the 14-15 complex and trying to drag this car through. Currently sitting on an improvement about a 10th coming through those first 2 sectors. So we're going to roll through the triple right-hander once again, able to get the car over a little bit further than Snowdog we saw earlier, using a bit more track early in on the entry and carrying a ton of speed on the exit of 19. This could be quite the improvement for our resident GOAT as we roll through to the inside of 20, powers down very early, a little bit of slip on the apex, but again, that can be used to your advantage because it's a very short run to the exit. It will be an improvement on time, but not position, as they still sit about a further 2.5 tenths from their next rival, as Volpez sitting in the Ginetta. Now we have Blade Wolf coming through to that back stretch, turn 12, and then rolling through to 13 again early in. Hold tight on this corner. Many of the drivers tempted to take it all the ways out, but you don't gain much in these heavy GT4 machines. But Blade Wolf has already put together a very strong lap, over 1 second through the first 2 sectors. So a little bit of a slide through 15, and once again, triple right-hander, very long corner in these GT4s, really trying to lean on the mechanical grip and use that limited aero balance that they have to manipulate, using all of the track and pulling it back, sweeping into 19, maybe a little bit too wide, and I think that actually might have been an invalidation for Blade Wolf. Yes, it does appear so to our timing screen, so a 1 second advantage from Blade Wolf, unfortunately, thrown to the bin. That could have put them anywhere within about the top 5.
Yeah, if I was correct with that time at the end here, that would have been enough to put him all the way up into P3, be able to pit Horace Volpez for that 3rd overall spot here. And quite unfortunate from Blade Wolf here, but he still has 12 minutes left to go here, so he's absolutely being able to get another run here, get some more tires, get some fresher boots here, and maybe get that one run that he needs to get back in the fight here. And also, we're seeing quite a bit of an improvement coming from our T-Gang racing driver of Voss here, currently also going down into the tricky Mickey Mouse section into turn 12, turn 13, turn 14 here. Because that's pause. It's going to be now in the final corner, already swinging around where that tapping zone, avoiding that curb on the inside. That's going to be another small improvement and able to actually get past Azure Code here. Now in P4 with Azure Code, not quite able to get the maximum out of that McLaren as he would have wished. So maybe now that he's won the championship, he doesn't really have as much stress to actually just be in the front of the grid here. So maybe he's relaxing a little bit here.
Yeah, perhaps, but we've seen Vossi make most of their runs through the races being pretty good at their consistency, although there's been a couple little hiccups in events here and there. Vossi does have quite strong pace, being able to challenge quite a few of the pro drivers throughout the field. But it could be a little bit of a bogey not having gotten a lot of practice coming through his first sector. Very technical, that if you step even millimeters offline, you're going to lose several tenths of a second throughout the sequence of corners, and you could easily lose probably 6, 7, 8 tenths compared to someone of the top drivers that would really be eking out everything through that first 9 corner sequence. Yes,
indeed, and he actually did lose all of that time in that very tricky exit towards turn 9, turn 10 here. So we're going to be coming back to them later because now we have Blade Wolf again on another charge through the really rapid turns of 16, 17, and 18 towards the final couple corners in turn 19 and 20. He was on quite a big improvement previously, but it seems like a poor exit and a poor line going through the sweeping right hand here, costing a bit of time there. But they are apparently still on an improvement here, going now towards the final turn 20, avoiding that curb again on the inside, and all those sausage curbs on the outside as well. It's going to be another half a tenth up on his previous time. That's not going to be an improvement on position, but he's now finally able to catch the top 7 cars ahead. And if he can be able to get that final half a second here, he would still be very well in contention for the top 5 positions as well.
Yeah, very important to note too, that wasn't the best lap of Blades, especially looking at sectors. It's sitting at about half a second just between laps that they've already set. It's a time that you would imagine they can easily grab. And of course, as this track continues to develop, there's going to be a little bit more to grab, as well as a little bit more recent practice that's going to let him eke out the just last tiny bits. And as we say that, ticking over the sector 1 line, they're already up 0.3 of a second as we roll through now turn 8, a little bit wide. Really want to mount that inside curb through turn 9, a little bit of a slide, but keeping it in track. I do think that they lost quite a bit of time, and now they have actually aborted that lap, having lost a little bit too much time through turn 8. Instead of their line through 9 might even have caught an invalidation at the end there, as just saw the camera pan away from them.
Yes, but yeah, that's going to be again the one issue for the qualifying. It's going to be now with 9 minutes to go. All of our drivers are starting to reach about their maximum pace so far, with the track now at optimum. So there's not going to be much more that their drivers can extract out of the track conditions. So it's going to be all down to what the drivers themselves can extract out of these cars. And now we actually see Juan B on another charge through the long back straight towards turn 12 there. Although we're actually in their current time here so far, looking at the delta splits here, but we saw them going quite fast previously in their previous runs through the Mickey Mouse sector 3 sector. So we're going to be watching them closely as they brake hard towards turn 12. Another 210s already in that one braking zone here, so definitely a lot more pace to be gained from the 911 Porsche driver here. Now also chasing down Snowdog ahead of him. That's going to be their main rival in this M-Class Championship. We're now going through 15, 16, 17 all around here, just hoping to maybe get a bit of a slipstream from the Aston Martin ahead if they can get close enough here. But so far now just going to be balancing themselves out, going through 16, 17, 18 towards turn 19 again here. A small improvement again here, able to increase that gap they have so far in the M-Class fight here. And looking again, another big improvement going up into turn 19 and towards turn 20, another 2/10 up on their time. Now let's see if they can just get that final quarter nailed just right. Indeed they did. It's going to be another charge up through the finish line. It's going to be actually another bit of a compromise exit, but indeed a small improvement, able to extend that gap a little bit towards the P2 of Zizos behind, who's still sitting about 4/10 from 1B. So 1B is definitely putting their car in the right spot where they need right now to win this M-Class fight.
Yeah, really trying to put their foot down and stamp their authority very early on. So we're looking at quite an interesting race so far developing, as we see a couple other drivers starting to put some better laps in. One of our other drivers is Azure, taking a strong 2/10 gain onto the back straight right now. And that McLaren, we know, very strong, opening up that throttle and really running its legs down from 11 to 12. Hard on the brakes, a little bit early in on turn-in, and that could cost quite a bit of time. And yes, that is already a loss of 4/10 just in the braking zone for 12. Missing out on their braking point, and I think very convincingly might have just thrown away that lap. As there's a couple other drivers that are throwing green up. I'm seeing about 3 other drivers on multi-10th improvements, Cohen being one of them with a 7/10 improvement so far, with still a few corners to go, all of sector 3 minus 2 corners. So we roll through the triple right-hander corner where you can really manipulate the balance of the car. We're going to see the 404 juggle itself over the curb, just trying to get the car rotated in a big drift, running through down into 19. A little bit too narrow on entry, but another drift on entry to get the car rotated in. hard on the brakes for 12. Get the car tipped in very early. Again, very early on throttle. Drive the car out. A little bit of a power slide from Cohen and straight to the line. It will be an improvement, but not enough. Half a second is going to be the improvement, but they aren't able to usurp Slow Dog, who's currently sitting on another 3/10 improvement themselves so far, as we roll through the same section of 18 all the way over to the right of 19, over the curb, early into the corner, maybe a little bit wide of the apex, but good momentum through. It looks like maybe coming through the final corner, a little bit cautious into that final corner. Don't think the best exit. It didn't seem like the car was right on the limit, and it did. Yes, it is not an improvement for Slow Dog. So the final sector catching out quite a few of our drivers, as we have seen many times in real life.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be quite a tough ask for all drivers to get anywhere out of these cars, especially with how unforgiving these track limits are. But somebody who's not been too uncomfortable here is going to be the car number 406 of Oraz Volpes here. Now on a 2/10 improvement on this car here, and quite a surprising result from the Ginetta as well. With if we compare it to the KTM, another very similarly agile car, not a lot of power here, but Oraz Volpes has had been able to just maximize everything out of the Sector 1 and Sector 3 areas here to make up for the lost time in Sector 2's long back straight. And he's currently sitting on another half a second improvement here, going through the Mickey Mouse section towards 14, 15. Now just getting that power down towards the long multi-right-handed turn 16, 17, 18 complex. You're still sitting on quite a big improvement here going around the corner here. And we do have Newt able to secure the provisional pole position in the silver class here, but looking like if Oraz can get this final couple corners here nailed right, that might just be a new provisional pole for the silver class, and watch closely as they go around that final turn 20 corner here. Careful with the exit. Power down very good here. That's going to be half a second up into P2 and able to pip Newt for that pole position here. So just the position that Oraz Volpes needs to hopefully get a good launch and get that silver class title again.
Yeah, and that Ginetta really very strong in that final sector. Well put together from Oraz, as we saw them up only about 3/10, gaining that last 2/10 in the final sector. So really stretching their legs and starting to catch their stride in the final couple minutes here. Don't believe there's going to be much time, if any, for Newt to respond to that unless they come out in just the next couple of seconds. I don't see them out on track. So F-Spirit is going to be rolling into turn 12, trying to look for an improvement, and a big slide coming in from the 777 driver. About 2.5 up so far as we roll through the technical sector. This is where we're really going to see the Maserati struggle, but a lot of time to be gained if they can get it right. A little bit of front locking. You can see some skid marks get put down onto the track, but it looks like they were able to still get the car fed into the corner quite convincingly. So through the long right-handers, and it's a very terrible corner for this Maserati, lacking a little bit of aero, but a slide to compensate for it, really getting the car rotated in and hard over the curve of 19, and just getting that run. And the car looks, while all over the place, it looks fast, and it looks like Esprit has been able to hang on for this final sector. As we roll through, it does look like it was a bit wide on the exit coming into the final corner, as we do see an improvement from them, but still, again, holding about 2.5 off of their next rival in Azure, which, I mean, if you told them that earlier in the season, or even just before this session, I think they would be plenty happy to hear that.
Absolutely, indeed. F-Spirit can just be very pleased with being able to get their car only a couple tenths off the championship winner, Azure Goats 765 McLaren here. So, I feel like they've F-Spirit were to drive machinery that does not have gimbed traction control and non-existent anti-lock braking systems. We might see them even further up the field here, continuing towards the top 3, perhaps even for consistent overall wins here. But we'll have to see what they're able to do here in the later races this season. As we see them go a big slide going on the exit of turn 9 here. Yeah, absolutely getting everything out of that Maserati.
Yeah, big slide coming in from the 777, but able to hang on. I do think that might be the end of their lap, though, as they might not be able to get back in time. It's going to be very close to see if they're able to get this Maserati back, but I think they're just going to miss out by a couple of seconds, as we see Saber Kitsune now start running through the field. Still sitting about level, but coming through this S sector, you'd expect the KTM to really thrive, needing a good exit out, and it does look like they were able to get that as it run down the hill. Hard on the brakes into turn 11. Get the car turned in. Focus on early throttle and drive it all the ways out. That KTM can take a little bit of curb. Sabre opting to avoid it this time around, but really getting that exit out. It didn't look like the most aggressive turn in, so we'll have to wait to see till we cross that sector line as we roll down the straight at a seemingly infinite straight in these GT4 cars. And yes, it is going to be now level, so lost a little bit of time in that hairpin there. So we roll in, taking quite a bit of curb into 12, rolling the car back across track and through the double right. 13, 14 coming up. That's that wide line that we talked about not exactly being optimal, but maybe the KTM able to make it work with that lower power, more momentum based style of driving. They roll through the triple right. This is where we should really see the KTM thrive. You can see its entry speed carried in quite well, rolling through, and how easily that Sabre is able to keep that car on the inside of the track, bring it all the ways back out to the curb, early turn and get the car pointed to the apex and early on throttle, having to really carry that momentum as we tip through the final corner. It looked like an all right third sector, but unsure if they're able to put that time down. We cross the line. It does not look like an improvement, so that will be the end of Sabre's qualifying. But a couple other drivers like Vossi here already stepping up to the plate. 3/10 improvement through the first sector.
Yeah, we are now running out of time here on our qualifying session. We only have only 3 cars still left on the track to do any car. Actually, that's going to be 2 cars. There's going to be the 15 of Vossi and 777 of F-Spirit here now still on battle laps around that. And that's going to be a confirmed, I'm pretty sure, provisional pole position for Wushel, unless Vossi can just do some absolute magic out of this last sector, but that's looking quite likely so far. But in our AM class party, we have now Zizors able to pip 1v in the last few minutes of this qualifying session here, able to get that pole position by a fairly decent margin so far. So the kind of result that Zizors would need, they are currently still not able to win this AM class fight here if they would finish in this current order here. But we're gonna have to come back to that later, because now we have Vossi now just swinging around these tight corners towards 16, 17, 18, hoping to maybe balance that car, maybe get that better exit coin towards the final fast left-hander towards turn 90. It seems like they're not on an improvement. It's gonna be an invalidation on the lap, and they're gonna be immediately boarding, so that's gonna be unfortunately the run over for them. But we still have a 777 of F-Spirit right behind them, hoping to maybe eke out a little bit more out of that car here, but looking like they are quite far down on their previous delta time. Yes, we see them going around towards turn 19, get that car balanced. Ooh, another bit of a slide going through. It's going to be an invalidation. They actually are running out of time here, and that's going to be now confirmed. Pole position with a big slide towards the final corner here towards the finish line. That's going to be indeed confirmed. Pole position for car number 69 of Wushel, the first pole position of this GT4 season here. So very many big congratulations to her.
I can't believe you didn't put in a nice in there, because it is a very nice pole position from Wushel. The number 69 setting at 216.1 and sitting 6/10 adrift of the next closest car. Is going to be the Janetta, a car that typically isn't the best off the line either. So Wushel could be looking at quite a comfortable run coming into turn 1. So she's going to be very, very happy with that running order, especially with Azure Goat, a very uncharacteristic P5 from this event. I'm sure that is not the time that they're looking for, especially being out-qualified by their fellow McLaren, who they've been whitewashing more or less throughout the season. Newt able to actually take the fight to Azure and put that McLaren in P3, be the lead McLaren for this event by 6/10 on their compatriot on that other McLaren.
Yes, it's indeed quite an interesting development where Newt was able to extract way more out of that McLaren instead of Azure Goat here, especially because I remember Newt made quite a lot of commentary earlier before the race about how he was not quite comfortable with how the McLaren was working around COTA here. So well done from him as well here. But looking at our championship results so far, if we are now going to assume that everybody is going to be finishing in the current positions here, this would indeed give Oraz the win with 1 point. You can see just how tight this championship fight is in the silver class here. It's all about just single digits single pointer to determine who's going to be the Silver Class Championship. So I am very excited for sure, and that's going to be the absolutely same situation in the AM Class fight as well here. So much to look forward to as we're now waiting for our competitors to get lined up on the front of the grid here for their outlap.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a long outlap as well, so it's going to be a bit of work for these drivers to make sure that they keep those tires up to temperature. Of course, you're not paying attention. Very, very easy to let those tires fall in way out of their window and get way too cold. And so it could cause some chaos coming into turn one. Also, very, very hard braking zone on that first lap is you don't know what grip levels you're working with, but of course, the fact that it falls off camber, very prone to causing drivers to make mistakes that aren't prepared for it.
Indeed, and there is quite a bit of possibility for incidents to happen as well towards the Sector 3 complex as well. I have quite some vivid memories of the final round of the Silver Class Championship, where I was also in contention for the Silver Class title there, where an unfortunate incident between my rivals caused me to spin out towards the back of the grid here. So hopefully we're not going to be seeing a similar repeat of that going from our Silver drivers going towards this race.
No, naturally, you'd want all of our drivers to be making it through the event as well. So, and looking forward to it, though, with 13 drivers, a very, very large track. I do think that we're going to have a pretty decent race in terms of our drivers being able to keep things going and lack of incidents, I would hope. But this track is prone to causing quite a bit of incidents once you push up right up to that limit. But without incident, we have a very nice pole position from the 69 of Wushel being able to stick it in P1, and they'll be joined alongside by Orez Volpaz and the 406 Janetta, a car all the ways up at the front for, I believe, the second time this season up on the first row. They're going to be followed up by Newt in the 272 McLaren, able to put a foot ahead of Azure Goat. And in the second car in row 2, well, not going to be Azure Goat. It will be Vossi in the number 15, putting their Porsche as second in line of the manufacturer and looking to make a long run challenge. Well, we talked about them earlier. The McLaren of Azure Goat is out of position in this P5 inside of row 3, looking on up ahead, trying to gain some positions. Be very interesting to see what they do up into turn 1. But turn 1 will be very, very interesting for the 777 of F Spirit, who's going to be taking the Maserati leading into turn 1 from P6. They will be taking away the run from Blade Wolf, who's going to be sitting that 142, the inside of row 4, and they're going to be looking just to try to make a recovery. Of course, they're sitting at the bottom of the silver qualifying right now. They will be one of the cars to watch, as well as the 523 of Saber Kitsune, who is sitting just above only the AM drivers behind them. They're going to be looking to try to make some kind of run throughout this race, but Zizor is going to be taking that AM class pole position. You saw them get quite a few incidents up in Paul Ricard, looking to make a recovery, making that final points charge, but they're going to need a little bit of luck because while they could get the win, they have Wanvi right here trying to stop them, looking to secure their first AM class championship. At 911 will be starting directly alongside their AM championship rival. One of the favorites in the championship, the 919 Slow Dog, is going to be putting themselves a little bit out of position. They're not going to be too happy, but still all to play for throughout the race. Many things can happen. Of course, the final driver in our AM championship battle of the 404 of Cohen, who we still have not been able to see all race, but they have somehow scored points. So not quite sure how that happened, but we'll figure it out later on in the season as we roll through, and our field is going to be chased by the M2 Cup safety car, driven by our lovely safety car Spitzer, and 999 adorning its hazard lights for any kind of accident that could come throughout this event. As we see the cars start to roll away into the distance and climb that very, very tall hill, if I'm not mistaken, about 12 stories high to climb up into turn 1. A very big challenge for our drivers, a very big compression that's going to fall off all the ways on the apex. Look for chaos as we roll into there for the first time.
So this is probably going to be the highest climb on the track in rival contention to the Rouge Rally Leon complex in Spa as well. So likely our competitors don't have to worry about the G-forces with having to take such an intense turn here, as now getting ready for the very long outlap here in this COTA fight here. Now we have Wushel here in a very strong commanding lead here, so I do believe it's going to be quite a similar situation that we've seen from Azure going in previous races, where if Ushul can just get away clean, get that gap built, then she can just build on the gap lap after lap after lap and finish on quite a comfortable lead here, as we've seen Azure do many times before in the previous races.
Yeah, it'll be quite the event to watch, but we still got to make it around the circuit as we roll through the S section for our parade lap, watching our drivers try to get the heat up in the tires. You see some brake lights illuminating, and of course, the heat generating inside of the core of those tires, trying to just get some grip. Surface temperatures will be real interesting, as many of our drivers electing to stay pretty straight and just let the core radiate out. And maybe towards the end of the lap, we'll see some weaving coming towards the end. But that 69 Porsche looking very keen, and as well as the pace that they've shown during qualifying, I'm feeling pretty confident about their chances throughout this event.
Absolutely, indeed. It's going to be also a very confident result from their second driver in this grid. It's going to be Auras Volpes, who was able to get quite a decent margin to the car of Newt behind them, but it's going to be quite a risky run for Auras Volpes, with the strong straight line speed of the McLaren going to be working very well, especially towards this really long back straight. So Auras is going to have to be on his guard, cover every single exit, keep this car in the absolute right position here to hopefully fend off both Newt and Vossi from overtaking them on this first lap around.
Yeah, it's going to be through that final sector. Of course, this is where our Sector 2 line is going to be cutting across the track. We roll through. It's probably the slowest you're going to see this cars coming through here. It is a rather technical sector as we roll through turn 13, where famously Vettel spun themselves out, running into Ricardo back in F1. I believe that was 2019, and rolling through now into 14, then to 15. It is a rather challenging sequence of corners, multiple different lines, a lot of overtakes coming through this section. If you see a car directly behind, you're never really safe whichever way you go, opening up for cutbacks and runs galore. But then you're going to see quite a few battles lead into this triple right-hander. The inside line always favored, especially in this heavier machinery with a limited aero. But nonetheless, each of our drivers have set their differences aside as they line up side by side and roll through turn 19 for the slowest period of our 45-minute race, and they approach turn 20 for the first time of the event. You can see the Ginetta lining up next to the Porsche, then McLaren and Porsche. McLaren once again followed up by the Maserati. So we have manufacturers galore as the pace starts to pick up, and we get ready to launch down into turn 1 for the first time. 133-foot climb awaits our drivers directly ahead as we wait for the green. Drivers locked eyes forward to the green lights up ahead as we approach the line for the first time and the final time of the race and the season. And up the hill we go as we are green for the final race of the Simufur GT4 Championship. It looks like a very good run from Wuschel. A little bit weak run coming from the Jenna, a little bit to be expected, but a good mid-corner coming in from the 406. It looks like they were able to keep it going straight over the curb, and we're going to be side by side coming through too, but Wuschel able to carry the momentum. The Jenna that could be under threat from the McLaren, and they will be under threat from the McLaren. Newt taking a little bit of a tap, but I think they're going wide down around the outside. That's going to open the door for Vossi to get promoted to B2, and yes, we have a car in the wall. That is Newt already in just turn 3, already finding the gravel trap as we take a quick look back.
Yes, it's quite important. It's going to be contact between the cars of Auras Volpes and Newt, both hitting with a big contact into the wall from Newt. That's going to be disastrous for their championship hopes here. Now, both of them far out of position here, far down the field, and with lots and lots of damage. That is the absolute worst result for Newt again. It's going to be so hard for them to climb back up the field, but we're going to have to get back up to the front of the field. It's not going to be Auras Volpes now. In P3, there's going to be another spin. It's going to be from Swami, Ko, and Zizor. So many cars going to get a big insult here from another spin from the 5-2-3 of Sabre Kitsune. Another disastrous race from there as well, with all to play for. And that's going to be now Newt able to get a comfortable position, now able to get back into the fight. Now going to be hiding on the rear of the fellow McLaren, and it's going to be the BMW M4 of Zizor here now, hoping to get another position up, going up into turn 12. We see some clashing happening here. Probably quite some unfortunate incidents happening from all of our drivers here now. Quite unhappy with that. So, oh, it's going to be another. Oh, that's going to be the slow dog here. I'm not sure what happened. We have to see on the replay what exactly happened with it. It's going to be going slow, going towards turn 50. So they're going to be going side by side into turn 2. It's actually going to be, it's going to be contact between quite a confusing one with Cohen and Snowy here. Snowy just stopping in the middle of the track here to let all those other cars by.
I think Snowy maybe either missing their braking point or just trying their best to stay out of the way from hitting Cohen in the later phases of braking there. They were able to get that move done, of course, on Zizers, as we saw ahead. But I do think, or sorry, not Zizers, 1V up ahead. But I do think that they were leaving a little bit too much on the table as we see Orez Lopez come into the pits as well, followed by Azure Goat. We're going to see quite a significant pit stop delta here. 47 seconds expected at a very, very slow crawl down the entire pitch straight for each of our drivers. So there's going to be a quick reminder of a mandatory pit stop, but no tire changes are required, and they need to fill at least 1 liter of fuel. So you're going to see a lot of drivers go in. They're going to stop in their box, take a liter, and go as we roll through. But of course, we saw, I believe it was Mute as well, sneak into the pits there, trying to get their repairs done after a very, very substantial hit to the inside wall of turn 4. And you can see our drivers running through 4 to 5, and then tucking it back into 6 here. This long, infinitely long right-hander back into the left to 7. Each of our drivers, you can see how the different cars are handling. The Maserati really struggling. Well, the BMW needs to be thrown in, and the Porsche tucking over the curbs, followed by Slow Dog as we see all 4 of our AM drivers are going to be covered by just about a second and a bit. And inside goes Zizers coming into turn 11. Very early on the brakes is a big dive coming in from Wanvi coming in, and the 404 of Cohen trying to battle back under the brakes and get a launch out. The Porsche able to sneak to the inside as now Sabre joins this battle, and it's going to be Slow Dog as well looking in their mirrors to make sure that they aren't at risk. All 4 of our championship rivals in the AM class are getting ready to spice it up. The Aston getting a little bit of a run. They're trying to get covered off by 1V. Slow Dog deciding to brake and get out of that battle, but 1V looking to go for another big dive on the 404 through, and Sabre very, very deep on the inside, I believe, missing brakes on the braking zone of 12, staying out of everyone's way and keeping it clean. But we're almost 3 wide coming into 13, and still each of these drivers, after many pushes and shoves, a little punch and a tap here and there, have yet to change position. But maybe Snow Dog looking for a spot onto the inside. Wanvi able to manage to keep that position on and that momentum around the outside, and a lot of excitement for a lack of position changes.
It's only been 5 minutes, and these AM-class drivers are driving for the inch of their lives, just bashing and boshing and colliding with each other, but still able to hold on quite well enough here to get around the track here in one piece. But it's going to be quite an intense fight. It's going to be now Zizos benefiting from all of that fighting. I'm now going to be seeing one be taken into the pit here. Everybody opting for a very early pit stop from our competitors here, and that's going to be now up to Cohen and Snowy and Saber Kitsune to just extend those gaps as long as possible here, perhaps to go for an overcut as opposed to the undercut of the early pit stoppers ahead here. And that's going to be quite a bit of a gap happening between all of our drivers. So it's going to be again Saber Kitsune trying to maybe get a bit closer. So now we see Snowy hoping to maybe have another shot at an overtake to Quinn, who's not going to be only 3/10 of drift here, going up towards the swinging corners here towards turn 3, turn 4, left and right. It's going to be not quite an overtaking zone around here, so it's to be very careful on both of our drivers to keep it together. Actually, both of them now going over the track limits and invalidating their lap times here. This is going to be something they will have to be very careful about. That's now going to be getting close towards turn 7 and 8, not quite in striking distance yet, but now going towards the exit of tricky exit of turn 9. That's going to be advantaging the traction controlled car of the Aston Martin. Not going to be then just hoping to get closer, maybe have a bit of a dive going up into the braking zone of turn 11 here. Not quite close enough, but we're going to be see Saber Kitsune in the background, also hoping to claw that distance as well. I'd say we're gaining quite a bit of speed here going up into the exit of turn 11 here. Now it's going to be Saber Kitsune hoping to maybe get a bit of a launch up on the Aston Martin behind. That's going to be the lack of power on that KTM, just not able to make the gap work here despite his best efforts. That's going to be actually Snow Dog getting closer towards the rear bumper of the missing 404 car. Here, that's going to be close, breaking together towards turn 12 here, still holding on well. That's going to be Saber again getting almost touching the bumper of Snowy again here. Now into the Mickey Mouse section, not White still holding on. A lot of stuff happening here, just all to play for.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the driver that is going to be writhing their hands and having a bit of a smirk on their face, well, that's going to be Zizors, as they're going to be taking the AM class pole position and running away with a gap of a few seconds now already. But we did see 1v pick quite early, looking for that undercut and a big wiggle coming in from Cohen in the 404. The Aston Martin seeming a bit more stable, a bit more predictable through this section of track. But it looks like they're going to elect to go for the pits and now go for the undercut themselves. And this could throw a spanner in the works for 1v, who we saw dive into the pits to avoid the battles, while the only cars left on track now are a couple seconds adrift, and they are completely outside of any battle to be had.
Yeah, this is quite an interesting battle with everybody opting to go for very early pit stops, maybe to undercut each other here. But there's not going to be only so many people who can undercut one another here. So we're going to be watching Snowdog very close here in the pits, and as we're going to be seeing now 1v charging around the back of the back of the field here, now towards turn 19 and towards turn 20. Now we do see now Snow able to pull out of the grid here, now getting closer towards the exit here, but that's going to be now 1v on that charge towards the main straight. I hope to maybe get a bit of a launch going up to this long on. It's going to be an advantage for 1v, able to get better speed carried here towards him. But that's actually going to be Snowdog able to still get the advantage going up towards turn 1 here, but 1v is not too far behind here. So with that early pit stop, 1v still has a chance to catch up back up to Snowdog and get back into the get that overtake done.
Yeah, and of course the very, very long pit stop, that means all the heat that was built up in those first couple of laps is going to fall immediately out of Slowdog's tires, as we see Saber Kitsune start to really mount that pressure on the back end of the Maserati directly ahead. With the 404 probably going to walk away here. We know how that KTM is on the straightaway, and it does look like that gap's continuing to open up. But we're going to be coming through the very, very technical Sector 3. We've talked about the multiple lines, the alternate lines that can be taken here. And Sabre immediately gaining almost all their time under braking and able to drive the car through with a decent bit of momentum, trying to open up maybe a switchback as Cohen takes a little bit shallower of a line. You can see the compliance coming from the KTM, able to just match their line, even while they're trying to pull in with that dirty air car in front of them later turn-ins. Well, they're able to get in maybe not in front, but side by side, coming all the ways up to 16. Unfortunately, they're just going to have to fall back from there. The outside, even in a GT4, is a very, very hard thing to make work. And it is going to be filing back. Lime Stern, the Maserati, having to run all the ways across the track to open it back up. Well, the KTM able to just follow the natural line, as we see Cohen go a little bit off track. A little bit of a dab of break from Saber Kitsune as they dive into 20. Able to hold it tight on the apex. Not the best exit coming from the KTM as they try to cover up the Maserati. But now the Maserati has all the power in the world as we run towards turn 1. Once again, 133-foot climb all the ways up to the top of the hill here. We're going to be looking for any kind of dive. Cohen is going to elect against it, and the KTM starting to open its legs, and you can imagine it's only going to keep growing as they roll through Sector 1.
Yes, indeed. And we're also seeing another fight between the car of Nudes. Oh, it's going to be almost caught there between 1v and Nudes here towards turn 18 and turn 19 here. Almost with Nude, unfortunately, having that early race incident here, collecting them now, putting them to the back of the grid here, and quite far outside of the fight for the silver class title so far. But looking at the moment from our gaps, with I do believe it's not going to be everybody from top 7 up have not elected to take a pit stop yet. So looking at the gaps so far, it's going to be Late Wolf, F-Spirit, and Vossi now able to. Now we see Nude able to finally get that run into turn 1 here with well, I mean, possibly just electing to back out of that fight here, realizing it's not their fight, it's not their car, so they're just going to be focusing on their own race and hopefully getting back into the fight to catch up Snowdog and hopefully get that as AM-class title still. As we see, it's going to be Nude cutting that corner pretty. That's not definitely going to be a track limits warning for the 272 car. If he has too many of those, that's going to be a drive-through penalty, absolutely.
Yeah, as we roll through the first sector closing out here, you can see the 272 straddling those curbs and really opening up the gap on the Porsche behind them. You can only assume why they would have been let by Y1V, who as well is fighting their own championship battle and trying to claw back as much time as possible, as they lost a little bit of time to Slowdog ahead, and a big bounce over the curb coming from Newt. That's going to really affect their exit here, but I don't think it'll enough to be enough to put them in danger, a 1v. But that car directly in front, that foreground shot, was Slow Dog, and that's who 1v is trying to chase down, and currently they're disadvantaged by quite a bit, and this is opening the championship up for Zers to take advantage if they're able to keep stretching that margin, keep stretching that gap. I do believe we'll have to probably wait towards the end of this race with how the field has worked out to see that pit stop coming from Zers, because they are looking very confident and very comfortable with that gap right now.
Absolutely, indeed. And looking at the gap so far, the gap to their main rival Snowdog, it's gonna be just on that limit of the 47-second delta so far. So if Zers is able to get the car, as we do see them going quite a bit deep into turn 1 here, so they absolutely need to keep their car in good condition, get those steady laps here, keep their car out inside the track limits as well, because if they just push the car too much trying to extend that gap to Koa and to Snowdog, the 1v behind them, that might just be another one of those risky drive-throughs that might just throw this championship again wide open in the AM-class category. But somebody who has not been sweating about this race at all, that's going to be the nice car of 69, with now going to be Vossi and Wushul both in P1 and P2 of the race here, not being challenged by anybody. They really took advantage of their early race chaos here, not just been cruising way towards the lead here with nobody else to challenge them so far.
Yeah, absolutely, and it has already been quite a demanding series of events in this race. We're sitting at Wushul hitting the only 27 teams in the top part of the grid. There's a couple others sitting a little bit further down, of course, one being Azure Goat, the other of Orez Volpez, who does hold the fastest lap at a 217.2, who might be trying to get an undercut on Wushul here. But quite a few drivers not really able to match their pace, and they're really showing it as they're starting to open up that gap lap by lap. But one thing I do want to draw attention to in the AM-class battle is the gaps in the pace advantage right now. So Zer's last lap with a 221.5. They're being chased down by Cohen with a 224, who we saw not have the best lap. But further down the pack, a 220.1 by Slow Dog and a 221.1 by 1v. So we're looking at the possibility of these drivers really closing it up. Snowdog really trying to stake their claim for why they should be in this AM championship battle, as Azure is now battling to try to get past Cohen, who does seem to be being a little bit of a roadblock to our championship winner.
Yes, indeed. That's going to be a very tricky place to overtake around this triple right-hander of 17, 18, and towards 19. That's going to be another bit of a slide coming up from Cohen here, struggling to keep that car in control through this triple right-hander. That's going to be now going side by side through 90, but actually able to get cleanly past there. Now Cohen probably just again conceding to electing to just let the pro class driver by. They're now focusing on their own race, and we're probably going to be seeing another very, very late pit stop from Cohen, as he's been very much known to do. They are looking pretty confident so far. If I'm going to be checking my points at the moment, if we are going to be finishing the AM class in this current position with Zsource P1, Cohen P2, Snowy P3, and 1v P4, that would indeed give the championship to Cohen with 1 point to spare. So if Cohen is aware of the situation, he has no hurry. He just needs to bring this car home, just hopefully hold off that charge coming from Snowy and 1v behind. That's going to be the championship secure for them with just the slightest bit of margin.
Yeah, just the slightest bit of margin to say 1 second or 1 point is really not a lot after a 6-race season. Regardless of whether you take into account the drop round, but you're going to be seeing Slow Dog coming under threat from Newt in 272, looking to continue the recovery drive as we go for the S's, but not much opportunity to really take a dive through one of these corners as we roll through along right now to turn 6, setting themselves up, opening it up wide for 7 early in, take a bit of curb and drive it out as we see Vossi start to get the drive on the 777 ahead of F-Spirit. But I do believe that, yes, they were ahead already, so a little bit of a mistake maybe, or is there going to be a move coming through? And a big jump over the sausage curbs of turn 12. And that's going to concede that position to the 777, and that's going to put Vossi back to do all that work once again.
Yes, indeed. Not quite the race not quite the mistake that he would have wanted at this point. Actually, we're not going to get back to the replay. That's going to be now Vossi electing to dive into the pits now. With that pit stop as well, now going to be returning back to that fight between, it's going to be the cars of Snowdog and Newt, able to finally get that overtake on the AM class driver head here. Now, it's going to be quite interesting so far with if Vossi were able to finish in P2 as well here, that would still put them in the advantage of this race here, because it's their main rival Newt is still all the way down at the back of the grid here after that early there's incident. So again, it's looking pretty confident so far for our current lead drivers here, but anything can still happen, as you're not going to be seeing Vossi now exiting the pits. Now it's going to be, where is Oras coming up now on the last corner here on the main side. It's going to be the other main rival going together. That's going to be Vossi able to secure quite a hefty lead still without the pits here, but we're going to be watching very interesting to see if Oras is able to gain that pace back, with them just flying through the race so far with another fastest lap of the session so far, 2:17.8.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very strong time coming in from Oraz, who has been really just dominant that Janetta this event and really showing their pace. As you can see that car get thrown around and just slip beautifully through the S's on that close shot, rolling through turn 6. As well as they have the hot tires, so while they're chasing down Vossi, they're going to be on the tires that are going to be giving them the most grip, the most compliance. So time will be gained, but I don't think it will be enough to really match the amount of damage that was done during that undercut. And Vossi are able to open that gap, and you see them going to turn 11 all the ways down at the end. There's some headlights just barely peeking out. And yes, Vossi taking the drive out and now trying to take that fight to Azure.
Yes, indeed, and Azure still not been able to get the most out of that McLaren, despite them. If you were going to be looking at the laps so far, Newt again, probably with that damage, is not able to extract the most of their McLaren so far. So it's going to be Azure Goat now able to be the fastest of the two McLaren drivers in this race so far. But actually, we're going to be going back to them, because it's not going to be now Oras now able to get that overtake now onto Cohen. That's going to be almost brushing each other going up towards turn 12 here. Quite a close one here, but still holding on strong here, but it's gonna be another close fight between them going up around towards turn 14, turn 15. It's gonna be Oras finally to get that overtake done here, get that lead, and now on to chase down Vossi ahead, and hopefully now get back into that fight for the silver class lead. And looking so far into other class, we have Saber Kitsune out also electing to drive to almost hitting the wall. They're going towards the edge of the pits here, so it's a very tight braking zone going towards into this pit entry lane here. So we might see some drivers able to probably hitting the wall if they're not quite careful enough here, but seems like it was able to just barely squeeze past and get into the pit lane here. But I'm going to be seeing, it's going to be after the first out lap, it's going to be Oras Volbis with 2:18.9. Now Vossi getting at 2:51, so we're not going to be quite able to see what the gap would be with their lap so far, but it seems like Oras has been able to close the gap between these two silver class drivers here so far. We're going to be watching very interesting to see if that gap's going to be closing up even more here. But looking at the points so far, we have Blade Wolf and F-Spirit at the front of the pack so far, but with how close they are towards the back of their fellow competitors down in the lower silver class in mind here, once Blade Wolf and F-Spirit will take the pit stops here, they're going to be slotting right behind these two competitors here. So it's going to be still Vossi maintaining this advantage here, going towards the latter half of the race so far, but anything can still happen. And it's all going to be down to if Oras Volpesen can just gain that distance, close that gap again to Vossi and get the race back on.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for sure, but I'm looking forward to it. About 25 minutes left in this race, so we're sitting right about that halfway point. Anything can really happen as we have quite a few storylines going on right now. Of course, the recovery drive of, I believe, Newt, and as well as Oras currently sitting what feels out of position, having dropped to Vossi and Azure, but as well as Zizors running all the ways up in fourth place. They've yet to take their pit stop yet so far, and they currently don't sit as the fastest AM driver on track, so they are getting reeled back in by Slow Dog, and they are getting now. They're going to see actually F-Spirit coming into the pits to complete their pit stops on the mention rate on cue, but 50 seconds, it really throws everything out of whack. That's almost half a lap around this track as Vossi is coming through the final corner, and surely he's going to take that position off F-Spirit.
Yes, indeed. And looking at the gap between and Vossi and Oras Vobis so far. It's been sitting at around 5 seconds, so now we're going to be watching very interesting as they are going to be both going over the finish line now towards the final turn 20. And now we see F-Speed now going up on the long pit exit here. So it's going to be Vossi inheriting in that silver class P2 at the moment. Now as they go across the finish line, it's going to be Vossi getting a last lap time of 2:18.2 with Oras getting a 2:18.3. So Oras not able to get the gap this spot. As we're going to be now, Oras is getting right into the bumper of F-Spirit as well here. So it's not going to be the absolute last thing that he needs here if he wants to have a chance at catching up into Vossi ahead and still have a chance at winning the silver class title here. Now we're going to be going bumper to bumper towards turn 4, the SS of turn 4, 5, 6, and 7. Not an overtaking spot around here, but Oras is towning the rear of that 777 Maserati so far. I'm just hoping to just lose as little time as possible and get back into that charge towards the Porsche 718 ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw a very, very big slide coming out from S-Spirit. So you're really seeing the detriment of this cold tires. Another slide comes out from that Maserati, but you can see how much power they're just able to put down. The Jenetta's just not able to match it as we run down to turn 11. And this is where the Jenetta really can strive, though, is hard on the brakes, pulling the nose all the way into the back end of that rear wing of that 777. Another big slide coming from the 777, though, and able to run around down the straight. And they were just able to carry that momentum out as we have to once again run all the way down to turn 12. You can see that Janetta starting to hold closer to that 777 with the draft. The 777 still pulling away a little bit, but this could mean that Janetta could be looking for something towards the end of this lap into turn 20. A little bit weak under the brakes, and you can see another slide, whereas thinking about a move coming into 13, but hard on the brakes, is electing to stay line astern, coming in, holding the car tight. Another slide coming from 777, and all over the place is S-Spirit just trying to get that Maserati back in line, get some grip back into the tires as Oras is just running on rails right now, trying to find a way past as we run through the triple right-hander once again, then rolling through. You can see how much more compliant the front end that Janetta able to pull itself in all the way back across track, while the 777 using every little millimeter of road afforded to them and trying to just keep that barge of a car on the track. As we roll through 20, as we see another Maserati actually unable to keep themselves on track. Cohen having a quick off there, but Oras having to settle for one more lap, and this could be the crucial part of the race for the Silver Championship, because that was Oras' moment to stay in front of the 777 when they were having those moments, because now the grip's going to start coming back to that Maserati driver. Still a little bit of a slide coming out on the exit of corners, but it's going to be exponentially harder as that 777 able to keep themselves in front corner by corner. The temperature comes back and the Janetta loses its edge, its bite comparatively, and they have to rely on that engine power, which has been known as a weak point from that car all season long.
Absolutely, indeed. And with every single time that, every single second, every single corner that Oras spends trying to get past the 777 Maserati head, that's going to be losing even more time to Vossi, who's now going to be running away with it. As we see another slide coming up from the 777 of Maserati going up towards turn 9 here, towards now the tight hairpin of turn 10 and 11 here. Let's see if Oras can maybe having another peak going towards the back. So you know it's going to be not close enough to make a move here. And also, as this was happening, we also saw Z-Source now able to do their pit stop right now. Going to be sliding behind Snowdog and in front of 1vs1, who's now on their own charge to get past Caesar and maybe get back into that fight for the AM-Class title here so far. It's still all to play for with these AM-Class drivers so far, with Cohen now inheriting that provisional lead here, but they are sitting very, very close to the other AM-Class drivers here. So if I am correct, once Cohen finally elects to have their pit stop, they're going to be sliding right into the back of this pack here. As we're going to be seeing now, Guardi going with a dive, going up into the hairpin. That's not going to be close. That's actually going to be, actually, it is indeed close enough. These are massively missing out on their braking, but Guardi just saying, thank you very much. I'm going to have that position and get back into the charge now towards Snowdog.
Yeah, and that gap to Snowdog sitting at about 6 seconds right now, and that's the last thing that Caesar has needed. And Lana V actually sitting, I believe, currently in a dominant position if they're able to hold this to the end of the race, where they would be sitting as the AM-Class champion. So Snowdog trying to open up this gap, but they're kind of left to the mercy of Zizor is able to get this position back. Hopefully the tires will come back and give them a proper challenge. But 1v looking for that charge and looking to close out in this final event.
Yes, indeed, and we're still seeing Auras Volpes not able to get the overtake done on F-Spirit ahead here. There's now going to be the gap between F-Spirit and Vossi has increased into 5.5 seconds. As a reminder, it used to be 4.5 seconds before the pit stop cycle here. So again, Auras is just losing massive amounts of time to try to hold up against this, trying to get past this really squirrely, really sliding Maserati here through the SS here into turn 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 towards turn 7 and turn 8. Again, just desperately trying to find anything here to get past it, but it's now with the tires fired up on that Maserati. It's going to be him just planting himself as wide as a fucking... apologies, not for the swear, but as wide as a wall going up into the turn 10 braking zone again here, with now Auras actually getting quite closer to us. There's going to be another, perhaps a bit of a peak going up on the inside. No, it's still not going to be close enough. It's going to be with a deep swing, hoping to maybe get that better exit going towards the back straight. That's going to be, they're going side by side almost into the back straight. That's going to be now the advantage of the Maserati here, able to just get pull away and create that gap here. That's still going to be the opportunity maybe for Auras to get that slipstream going towards turn 12. You maybe have another dive going on. Let's see if it's going to be going closer. No, it's going to be now F-Spirit currently inside. Now it's going to be actually going to be on the outside, with Auras having the final dive on the inside of turn 12. You're almost having contact between each other here, but Auras able to just be able to avoid the Maserati head. That's going to be them going on the outside into turn 13. It's finally able to, after so many laps, able to get past. It's actually not quite enough yet. It's going to be still side by side going towards turn 15 and towards turn 16. That's going to be finally moved now. That's going to be losing so much time. The gap has opened up to 6.5 seconds to Vossi ahead through all that fighting.
Yeah, and we saw that over-under nature of that middle sector. The start of the third sector is Auras was able to get around the outside, but they were still open on the inside and almost back for another cutback coming into turn 15. We saw that S-Spirit was trying to get the power down and try to get a run out, but Auras able to promote themselves up into P5 as well as being the fastest car on track. They do still have an opportunity to catch up to Vossi up ahead, but they might need a little bit of luck as Vossi has put the hammer down and is putting competitive laps. But while all that was happening, we saw Wushel come into the pits and has now dropped down to P2, and I believe that is where they have filed out to after the pit stop. Of course, Blade Wolf, currently leading the race, has not taken their pit stop and is the only driver to have not done so, alongside of the likes of Cohen, who has been quite renowned in not taking their pit stops until the absolute last second. So for the moments of glory right now, it is Blade Wolf leading this race as well as leading the silver class, but Vossi is trying to stake a claim to take that silver class, win that silver class championship. Of course, being chased down by the rear end of, well, by the front end of Auras, trying to catch their rear, and that gap still sits at about 6 seconds as Vossi is currently being held up, I believe, by the 765 McLaren of Azure, who won't be holding them up on the straightaway here with that McLaren really stretching its legs.
Yes, indeed, and we're still seeing F-Spirit be able to hold onto the back of the Auras or the 406 car of Ginetta here, but now with the overtake done, and now it's going to be towards the, it's going to be the advantage of the Ginetta here now to fully extend their gap here, stretch its legs, and just really send the car through the tight, twisty Mickey Mouse section into sector 3, through its twisty SS of sector 1 here, and able to now finally get that charge. And in fact, at the gap is looking like so far, Auras has been able to gain another couple tenths to the car number 15 of Vossi ahead, and now it's going to be or Azure Goat ahead of them. So if Azure is not electing to let Vossi by here, and they're going to be stuck in that fight here, that might be just the thing that Auras needs to close this gap again and get the silver championship fight back alive.
Yeah, and I think if there's any position that Azure is going to be motivated for that isn't a win, I think he will be sitting exactly where they're at right now. As currently they're sitting on the fringes of the overall podium, as we see in the background, or as just barely peeking their headlights in as the camera pans away there once again in the background, just barely sneaking in. So we're going to watch that gap continue to close as Vossi tries to push all the ways up to the rear end of Azure, who is just feeding dirty air to that Porsche, which already a car historically with quite a weak front end and not able to push those front tires very hard. Oh, that dirty hair is going to make things even worse, albeit very minimal in GT4s. It is still noticeable in these high-speed sectors, especially coming through the S's of Sector 1.
Yes, indeed, and the gap seems to have actually not able to shrink at all between Horace, Volpes, and Vossi. And in fact, it's going to be getting even farther because it seems like F-Speed has been able to get a lot more out of that car, with Horace seeming to struggle perhaps with the tires on that Ginetta as well. Not able to shake off the hulking massive beast of a Maserati behind them. Still hounding on the rear and hopefully maybe have a cuts back going now towards the latter half of the race here, with now 13.5 minutes to go, and it's looking quite the struggle for Aras Lopez so far here, trying to hold up now the charge from the Maserati behind them.
Yeah, there's quite a few cars that are starting to make moves, as well as we're seeing the ebb and flow of tire wear throughout this race. So, CC1 going around in turn 1, and that's going to be a massive issue because that could open the door up for Zizers, who we saw come in, and it looks like maybe just a little bit deep under braking, yes, and just trying to tuck the car in, and it's a clumsy spin, and the extra spin for good measure, trying to get the car realigned, loses them a ton of time, and Zizers is unable to capitalize coming through what looked like the exit of turn 1, and yes, they were not able to get in front, but F-Spear looking to capitalize on that newfound pace and chase down that 406, who really starting to feel the pressure as that gap sits at about 6 seconds up to Vossi up ahead. So whereas might be looking for a little bit of luck here as another slide coming in from F-Spirit in the car behind and rolling through 15, just trying to find some semblance of traction, though. We might be seeing that 777 start to lose a little bit of its rear tires because it has been sliding every time that we've taken a look at it, and then that Ginetta, being known for its cornering speed, might finally be able to take an advantage that will be too much to handle for our P6 driver.
Absolutely indeed, and also at the back of the crash here, we have Newt still on his own charge through the Silver Crosshairs. They have been just absolutely sending the car through every single corner, just hoping to gain any position here, but they are still sitting so far ahead, so far behind, apologies, of the other Maserati of the 777 F-Spirit so far, now trying to get ahead of the other Maserati, the 404 of Coins so far here, hoping to get back up into the silver fight so far, but looking at the pace so far, it's unfortunately looking like New has been now being excluded out of this race here, as they're going to be going, it's going to be a send going up into the final corner towards the main. That's going to be the advantage of Newt here. Now they're going side by side, with Newt hoping to get that better acceleration, better top speed of the McLaren here, now going side by side into turn 1 here. So, no, sorry, apologies. Newt sending it deep. It's going to be almost like touching each other going towards turn 1 here, with Newt able to now finally get around and now get that better traction going towards turn 1 and finally get that moving. Now, hopefully, if luck serves him right, get back into the hopefully the fight for the silver title.
Yeah, and that's all that they can really hope for, because they're sitting quite out of position right now. But I mean, you can only say that they really brought this upon themselves at the start of that race, looking to try to take a little bit too much, as Zizers takes a little bit too much into turn 1, going a little bit deep, going to be harming those front tires, possibly some graining coming in as well. So we talked about the fronts going into turn 1, they're going to be really pushing themselves to just try to find any kind of grip. I would struggle to see if none of our drivers had a some kind of graining on the front end. Very, very easy to slide too much and just lose that front grip even more than the lap before. So you're going to see a lot of drivers start to fall off quite suddenly, and it looks like Zizers could be one of them, as we saw their pace fall off quite dramatically compared to their early race shenanigans. But they're also starting to come back a little bit after one of has come back into view. So maybe able to get those tires back into a working window, but the car does still seem like a handful.
Absolutely indeed, and we're now seeing the gaps opening up between all of our competitors so far. Nobody really within striking distance besides this fight between Zizos and Huami all the way at the back of the grid here, but somebody who's been still not electing to take their pits up, as is tradition so far. So that's going to be the 404 car of Konya, and we've only 10 minutes left to go here, and the gap looking to be about, yeah, if I'm correct, once Coin elects to have that pit stop, they're going to be slotting all the way to the back of the grid here. If that's going to be the case, that's going to be Snowy inheriting the lead, and that's going to be Snowy also able to secure the AM-class title here going up into, as we're going to be seeing a bit of a swap back happening between the cars of Caesar and Huan going to the back of the grid. I'm not quite sure what happened here, so we're going to be having a look at the replay to see what exactly happened between these competitors. We do believe we just barely missed the window here, but it seems like it was either one of their cars just missing their braking point, going towards that very tight left-hander turn 12 here, where they are very often you see some big action happening here. So they're able to inherit the P3 in the AM class fight here, but we're going to be having to go back into Snowball, because if Snowball can inherit that lead once Coin gets back into the pits here, that's going to be Snowy able to inherit the championship finally for the AM class.
Yeah, as we see now what the overall champ or the AM champ change between 3 of our drivers so far, based upon where we projected them to come out or who was leading at what time, starting with Zezors and then back to Wanvi, and then after they bobbled the car in turn 1, currently sitting with Slow Dog possibly taking this. So it has changed every single lap, it feels like, but we have 8 minutes to go. That equates to about 4 laps is what I would expect, depending where our leader is going to be coming around at. I do believe that's going to be sitting at 4 more laps as our leader comes around the final corner right now, although Blade's still needing to serve their final pit stop. So that will knock that overall lead back a little bit, but we're going to see the KTM, the Sabre, try to make a run on the 404. It seems almost a bit helpless, doesn't it? That KTM trying to get some kind of run on the straightaway as we roll into turn 12. Of course, very, very strong under the brakes. You're going to see that time get pulled all the ways back, but that straightaway just seems ever so much helpless for the 523.
Yes, indeed, but we're going to be seeing quite a lot of pace coming up from the KTM into the Mickey Mouse Sector 3 here. Now, it's actually having a peak on the side of the Maserati here. Maserati electing to have a deep defensive line going towards turn 40 here, but it's going to be Sabre swinging around on the outside. It's going to be them bouncing on those big sausage grips here, compromising the direction. That's going to be Cohen able to keep their lead so far here, but Sabre's absolutely on a charge right now, able to get past the cars. They're going to be going again on the outside of turn 17, 18, and towards 9th here now. Going again on a deep defensive line on the inside, and that's going to be Sabre. Get that better exit going towards turn 19 and then get that move finally done here. Now it's going to be still quite far out of position for our normally fast pro driver Sabre Kitsune here, but at this point it's just going to be just damage limitation, just hoping to get as many points as they can in this final round of the race.
Yeah, it's all you could really ask for sitting in the last 6 minutes here. You're not going to be pulling back any gaps, so it's just about beating those around you. So I think Sabre reasonably has done what they can with that KTM in the circumstances that were given to them. But we're going to see Vossi start to look for a dive, a very, very deep under the brakes. The 15 goes into turn 11, trying to get the car straightened out and get that run, as it looks like the McLaren may be able to carry that momentum a little bit better, but nonetheless, it does not matter because that straight line performance in the McLaren once again is pulling on the Porsche, just opening up that gap. But then under brakes into turn 12, hard on the brakes we go. We're going to see that Porsche gain all the ways as Azure takes a very narrow line, and the Porsche is able to climb right back up to the rear end, tight into 13, really where the Porsche should be excelling with the balance of that car. And you can see it carry the speed through 13 into 14 as well. And then the long left-hander F15 as we look for a cutback. Azure holding a little bit tight, trying to defend that inside, a little bit of a slide on the exit even, and the mid-range power allowing it to really drive out as we roll through the triple right-handers. And the Porsche now starting to get a little bit out of its element, starting to stretch back towards where the McLaren is strong. And so now switching back to just trying to hang on for a little bit as we roll through 19 and set ourselves back up for 20.
Yes, indeed, and this is exactly what Oras needs to hopefully get that shot at the silver class title so far. He's not been able to get the pace that we would have wanted, but now with Vossi caught up in that fight between Azure got ahead of, and now it's Oras now able to finally close the gap between it. It was sitting at 7 seconds at one point, but now it's with the car with Oras was able to get a 2:18.5 and Vossi getting a 2:18.9 here so far. So if they're going to be fighting a little bit more here, going towards, so we're going to be getting really close into the SS of turn 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. That's going to be everything that Oras needs to hopefully get back in the fight. That's going to be Oras having a bit of a peak going up through the SS here, but there is no space around to make an overtake here, so quite some aggressive driving from the Tinkan racing car here, hoping to inherit and get back into the, that would be the overall top 3 position here once Blade Wolf gets into the pits.
Yeah, and Blade Wolf's going to have to be getting into the pits, I think, probably at the end of this lap as they just entered the back straight with a minute left to go, or actually with 3 minutes left to go. So I don't think they're going to be able to make it back to the pits, but Cohen has now elected to take that pit stop, and we will see what they will filter out. But Slowdog is going to be jumping up into P1, inheriting that AM class lead that we very much knew that they had, and are starting to drive up into that 133-foot climb up into turn 1. But running down the straightaway, it's once again going to be the 15 of Vossi trying to get something on that McLaren. And you can see it stretch its legs, but we've seen this Porsche a lot further back and close all the way up to the rear bumper. So there could be an opportunity coming in to the braking zone of 12. And as we go once again very, very hard on the brakes, very, very deep as Vossi looks to try to get some kind of overlap. Or as you're taking hard to the inside to try to defend. And the 15 is just carrying that momentum now through 13. Once again, the Porsche very strong through here, looking for an over-under and maybe able to get it, but no. The McLaren able to keep that momentum just enough. But we know Azure likes the tight line here, and that's going to open things up for Vossi to try to get a run on exit. The McLaren able to get a good enough drive out that'll keep them safe through the triple right-hander. Again, that momentum and that better line will go to Vossi as long as they're able to keep themselves inside of the groove. That gap should hold stable or close up, and then tipped into 19. So I do think maybe a little bit of time lost by our Porsche, and then we see Blade will finally come into the pits. That lead, of course, filtering back to Wushel, who has been absolutely flawless throughout this race, a race of chaos for many of our drivers, and a chaotic race for many of our drivers trying to keep themselves in the battle. Of course, our Silver Champ and our Am Champ battle all being up for grabs, and Vossi still trying to stake their claim, and they need to be careful, though, as they go very deep under the brakes up to the rear end of Azure, because they could throw away this championship as quick as they could win it as they roll through the S section for what will likely be the second to last time with 2.5 minutes left to go. They should be crossing the line, the white flag next time by. So Vossi is looking at a now or never type event. They are sitting on the podium, so they aren't looking to break some kind of barrier. This is just the battle for P2 and pure bragging rights, and I don't think Vossi thinks anything less other than this is my race and this is what I need to win.
Absolutely, indeed. But with how much Vossi is fighting Azure Code ahead of him, that's just going to be working better towards Azure's hand, or as Volpez's hands behind them. The gap has now shrunk to 4.5 seconds between the two cars here. Now, with only a couple laps to go here, if Vossi is going to be fighting this car too much, they might just be having a catastrophic mistake towards the final lap here. That's going to be giving the opportunity for Oras to get an overtake on the last lap of the race here, but it's going to be all down to if these two competitors can get through these final couple laps around here. But I'm going to be seeing it's going to be car number 6 now. It's going to be probably 1 or 2 more laps around the track as we're going to be seeing Vossi again getting close to the rear bumper of Azure going into turn 12 here. Azure going up on a defensive holding line here towards on the inside of turn 13 towards 14 here, with Vossi now having a peak over under now going towards 15 and towards 16 here, but again not able to find that space. It's going to be contact between the two cars. It's going to be Vossi now pulling over. It's going to be Oras right behind. It's going to be Oras right behind. It's going to be going two side by side. It's going to be, oh no, that catastrophe at the very minutes of the race here. Now Oras able to inherit the lead of the silver class, fighting that. I do believe that's going to be him now in the provincial lead and in the championship hope here.
Oh my, I talked about it, that it all could throw away in just a moment's time, and we said Vossi just needed to keep it clean, and it was building for lap after lap, as now we roll on to the final lap with Oras leading the silver class, Azure dropping all the ways down to P2, of course, dropping to P4, now up to P3 after returning that position from Vossi, and Blade Wolf has somehow snuck their way onto the overall podium and second place overall in silver, and Vossi's still under threat from Spirit, who's very hard on the brakes, a little bit of front locking and holding themselves just in front, because this could be the moment for them to get back on the silver podium, but a very big slide coming out of the exit of 1 and through into 2, a little bit of TC needing to kick in for that Porsche, so the rear end starting to light itself up as well, so Blade holds every advantage right now to try to hold that P2 and hold on to that final podium spot, or sorry, that P2 podium spot in the silver class, maybe even fight for the final podium spot with Azure right in front, but Vossi's looking feisty and trying to get some kind of move on as we roll down into turn 11. You've seen that Aston not the best in a straight line. The Porsche being able to hold mostly with that McLaren, but it's going to be Blade taking to the inside, going defensive. Hard on the brakes, Vossi trying to open up a line, and Blade's very, very tight. That's going to compromise their exit, and once again, another tap coming in from Vossi. The Porsche making contact again, and both cars losing momentum. That's going to open up for this 777 of F-Spirit, who's now going to start running through down the long straightaway of turn 12 coming up ahead, and that could be another opening. Blade once again taken to the inside, very defensive, hard under the brakes, goes F-Spirit trying to sling it around the outside. Blade losing that momentum on the inside, and once again Vossi looking for another opportunity. F-Spirit looking to get up to the rear end, but a little bit too far. It could open things up, but we have to tune into the leader coming through 19, and through the final corner, the driver that's going to break the streak for Azure, and is going to be the second driver of the season to take a win away from the GOAT. It's going to be the 69 of Wushel who will take the win at COTA, but jumping back, we see Espear losing a little bit of momentum, opened up to the 15, but they're able to stretch that back out. Blade Wolf not safe, but through the final corner, Oraz held on to the final inches of the race to the final lap, where they're going to take the silver championship and cross the line in a last lap drama. Is going to be your silver champion, Oraz, who has finally been able to bring that home and finally seal up that overall P2. You're going to see Blade Wolf fill out that P2 in silver class, and F-Spirit taking on that final podium in your silver class. Newt just trying to drag home a recovery drive as we roll through the final quarter through the P7 driver. A disappointing race for them, but a good recovery. But jumping back as well, we have a couple more drivers to cross our line. Saber in the 523, another dismal race for that KTM. Really just too many hurdles to overcome. But the next step back, you're going to see one more driver, one more champion to be crowned as we roll through the final quarter. Snowy, Slow Dog, look to be in dead spot coming through into this final round, but they're going to be in the best spot coming into this final round as they're going to take home the AM Class win and the AM Class championship as they roll through onto the main straight to bring home a incredibly tight season, an incredibly tight final race. All four drivers ready to win it, and it is your winner, Snowy, in the 919 Aston Martin.
Yes, what an absolutely dramatic last 2 minutes of the race here. It was all to play for Vossi, and a critical mistake at the last, in the absolute worst part of the entire race here, losing that lead here, losing the championship, and giving Oraz that title here. But it's going to be Wushel in a very dominant run here throughout the race. But it's going to be a big congratulations for the Ginetta, the G55 Ginetta of Oraz Phobos here. He was not in the fight here for so far. It was that early mistake. It was that crash with Newt that cost him so many positions here. But with all to play for at the very last round here, it's going to be him, champion in silver. With everything that's been thrown at it, it's just consistency. It's just keep your face out of trouble, yourself out of trouble. That's what the thing that matters here. It's going to be a well-deserved win for Oraz Phobos in the silver class here and in the silver championship.
Yeah, what a race, because it seemed like it had all calmed down in the last 10 minutes there. It seemed like we were finally just bringing it home with just a couple drivers needing to kind of sort themselves out. But man, I mean, that is the definition of it's not over till it's over, as we had to see Oraz come back from 7 seconds, I believe the gap stretched out to bring home that win. And of course, still had to stretch out that gap to hold on to it, as well as Snowy, who for quite a while in this race looked like they were out of contention, but were able to bring it home. And not just bring it home, but with a dominant win of an 8.5 second gap in the AM class as well. So very, very strong performance from them being able to bring it home in that latter stage of the race.
Absolutely. It was quite a dramatic race towards the very end here. Now we just continue them doing lots of celebratory donuts here, as they all deserve to do. Very well fought from all of our competitors so far. And again, it's going to be an official overall champion. That's going to be for Azure Code here. They did not quite have the race they would have won here in the race, in this race here so far. But well done from all of us here, everybody here, and from to silver to pro. This has been an incredibly fun season to commentate so far, and we're going to be hopefully seeing even more fun action coming from future Simufur seasons as well. And now we're going to be waiting for our drivers to pull over into the pits here and get ready for our interviews. We're going to be pulling them over in a second. Now we're going to be having a couple of, just having a bit of a, probably all need a bit of a cool down after that really intense last couple minutes of fighting here. But well, what do you think? How was the season so far? It's been quite an intense race so far, and I for one am really happy that everybody has been able to compete here. It's seen so much fun action coming up from all of our drivers in all of the classes.
Yeah, what an event! I'm a little red in the face myself with how much happened and how quickly it happened at that too. But what an event for all of our drivers! I'm very glad to see that we are able to get some good racing. The GT4, some of the alternate classes producing quite the event, to say the least. Producing some of our better racing that we have seen as well. So I would definitely like to maybe come back for maybe a visit down victory lane, but certainly well worthwhile in this series, and I couldn't be happier with how it came to a close, as chaotic as it started.
Absolutely indeed. Now we're having our final round of interviews with our Silver and AM class championship winners. So we're going to be starting off with our Silver class winner here. So Horace Lopez, massive congratulations. You had it there. You had it all to play for towards the final minutes, the final laps of this race here. So how are you feeling so far?
Exhausted. Just that lap one incident was, I thought it was game over from there, and just, well, I put my foot down and here I am, somehow.
Yes, indeed. Very well done from you. So what's next for you then? Are you going to be taking the fight up into the pro class perhaps now with your very well secured win in the silver class fight here? So or GT3s perhaps?
GT4s I can maybe be considered pro. I don't know about GT3s yet, but if the higher up decide that's where I belong, then so be it. I shall suffer.
Absolutely fair. But what's going to be with you for celebrations? That you had a very interesting race so far. So maybe after a shower, maybe some celebratory drinks or something else to celebrate your very well fought and very well deserved victory.
Some victory chocolate, I say. That's what I'm going to go for.
Sounds absolutely right here.
The victory chocolate for sure, but I mean, I from the commentary box up here, it surely seemed like a race of never give up. Of course, the last lap or second to last lap incident coming from Bossy opened up the door, but from your perspective in the cockpit, what were you thinking in the closing stages of the race? The last 10 laps, especially once F Spirit started to kind of give you a little bit of trouble. It seemed like things might have been out of reach, but what's your take on that?
Well, when F Spirit was ahead of me, I just thought, I cannot go fast behind this Maserati. It is initial D'ing everywhere. I know I can outbrake it, so I just had to send it when I was close enough, and that was the only way I could get past. And then when I saw Vossi up ahead in the final stages, I'm thinking, oh no, I can't make up this time. Suddenly yellow flag, come around the corner, and it's just, oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you again for the interview. And we're going to be seeing you again, hopefully in the next races in the future.
Oh, you definitely will.
Right, now we're going to be bringing our second winner of this race here. It's going to be Snowdog of the AM class here. We're going to be giving a bit of a moment here. That's going to be Indy. That's going to be Snowdog, confirmed, AM winner and AM champion of the Simufur GT4 season here. So it was quite an eventful race for you as well, wasn't it?
Yes and no. I mean, it's hard to describe it, really. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I thought it was going to be just another 45-minute race for across the line, but I could not believe how that unfolded.
Yes, indeed. There was quite a bit of action happening back and forth and up and down the grid here. Did you have any doubts at any point that you were not able to get this AM championship last night? I know you had quite some doubts in the previous races so far, but did you have when did you have that feeling that maybe you finally would have this championship title?
Tonight, literally not until Cohen pitted. For the majority of the race, I was under the impression that he'd gone in first. So I thought, well, I've made second. That's probably going to be as good as it's going to get. And then he pitted with about 4 minutes to go. And I thought, no way is that happening. Because like even throughout the championship, Cohen's been a really strong competitor. There were doubts. in the previous couple of races, but that's something for me to work on personally. Next season, whatever the season is, we're going to finish every race no matter what.
Absolutely, indeed. And what's next for you then? Since you've now been able to win the AM Clash fight, it's going to be now time to move up to silver. Get the fight up towards silver drivers and maybe have a bit of another resurgence with your Aston Martin in perhaps in the GT3 class as well.
Maybe. I'm looking forward to literally next week the iRacing Championship coming out. That's a completely different car, completely different feel. Another favourite track though, so I'm really looking forward to getting my teeth stuck into that. But as for GT3 driving, GT4 driving, I don't know. Purely down to my conduct over the last 2 races, in the sense that I didn't make it through every race when I should have done. There's a lot of factors to play into that one.
Yes.
Yeah, and you proved to find your feet in the GT4s here, coming in the Aston Martin. I mean, we saw the first race maybe a little bit of a struggle, but from there you seemed to really kind of took a duck to water, as they might say. But maybe secrets there that might have helped get you back up.
Don't have a disconnect in Hungaroring. I think that would have started me off really strong. I don't know. I mean, the Aston Martin, for me, since I started driving GT4, was always a strong car. So it's never, whenever I have taken it out, it takes a bit of work, but it's never failed to deliver. It's a very, very consistent car. Might not be the most competitive, but it gets the job done. And it's really easy to get on with as well, if not a little bit boring, some people might describe it as, but I'll take boring.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
boring got you
very-
the win here for sure. Well, the boring got you the win here for sure, Ben. I'll be saying a big thank you again. Congratulations for the interview, and hopefully we're going to be seeing you again for many, many more exciting, interesting races.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And that's going to be it for our entire race and the season, the GT4 season of Simufur here. And well, again, what a season has been so far. The M2 Cup, the GT4 Cup, they have both incredibly exciting to commentate. I'm, for one, will be very looking forward to see if I have future opportunities to provide commentary with me and my co-commentator as well here in the future races. But we're going to be keep you updated on that, because for now, that's going to be it from everybody here in Simufur. So, any closing thoughts, Plasma?
Well, get ready to do it all over again. We have a 4-week iRacing series starting up. Well, next weekend. Saturday is going to be the date, so mark it on your calendars. Be ready to go, because we're getting ready to go racing for the next championship. And I believe what should be, don't quote me on this, the second to last championship of the year, meaning there's a couple other things in the works. But that's all I can say for now, so stay tuned to our social channels, our Discord as well. And keep in mind, we are always ready to race.
Yes, from everybody here at Simufur, from me, from Plasma, from our lovely Stewart team, from our safety car drivers, from our moderators, from our admins, a big thank you to everybody, and big thank you to everybody who has tuned in here for this very exciting and very fun race. So, from all of us here at Simufur, we wish you a very pleasant night.